Hello and welcome to what's going to be a very big Legoland adventure. Is today we take a look at 3 different Legoland parks dotted around the world, having a look at all of the adventure theming that they have on offer and just the huge differences. So in the big screen is Legoland Billund, small screen is Legoland Windsor. On the minute, what we are going to do, we're going to tag in Legoland Dubai. Now we're going to take a look at the huge differences. One of them we are looking at right now is this rapid thing that's about to shoot down the track. They do not have this located in either of the other parks whatsoever, let alone with the adventure theming. So there is a huge amount of differences. Legoland Billund has a massive sort of walk around adventure section. Dubai is much smaller, and Legoland Windsor has a couple of different rides that the other two don't have as well. But each one of them does have the big laser shooter, which is what we are about to be having a look at now at Legoland Windsor. So we're just having a look at the models as we pan up. The big building will be behind. All 3 of the places do have that. So what we're about to do is the small screen is now going to go big. So we're still at Legoland Windsor and we've just introduced Legoland Dubai. And that way we can each have a look at 2 minutes of each theme park and it'll just sort of keep rotating around. And where we've just stopped at Legoland Billund, we'll carry on with to the exact second. So you're going to not miss anything whatsoever. So we are just exiting in Legoland Dubai, the sort of water theming, and we're about to turn around and head into their adventure section. And we're going to be close to going to both laser mazes at the same time. So we all have this thing to go through. They all have completely different queue lines. Another big difference with the Legoland Billund, which you'll see right at the very end, is what we're looking at currently now on the inside of Legoland Windsor is actually on the outside of Legoland Billund. So they have all of these models. This is all big sort of snaking queue. You can imagine just how much it adds on. And then if we were to carry on inside, there is a huge amount to look at on the inside. I would say that this is one of the slowest rides to get on, and the queue is absolutely filthy in regards to the length. It is absolutely massive, but we will return back to Windsor in a second. So we've just carried on with Billund in the bottom right, and we've now gone to Dubai in big. So like I said, it will go from small to big to disappear, and then it'll just keep rotating around every 2 minutes. So we are at the entrance and queue line of what we were just at Windsor, which is the shooter itself. So you walk through the door. This one's slightly different because they do have a little bit of a building section. Unfortunately, it was actually closed at the time that I was in. So I'm currently just speaking to a member of staff, asking if it's all right just going and film just the inside, which I did. But you couldn't go any further because the next part, I do believe, of the queue was completely closed off, or it was just very short. But everything we're looking at now, they do not have at Legoland Windsor or Legoland Billund, but they don't even have these models, I don't think, either. This is something slightly different where they've got like the build bins on the inside, and you've got these weird sort of areas where you can sit down. You can do a little bit of building, but I'm not too sure if you were to carry on walking in a straight line, if it would then go through, but we will come back to that in 1 minute's time. So big screen back to Billund. So we are now all the way around, still having a look at the huge drop thing, which is also, like I said, they do not have anywhere else. It's sort of like a mouse kind of thing. It's really nice and tight. You can see that's about to come up and then shoot back down. But we are still walking around the queue line at Legoland Windsor. Like I said, where it stops, it will continue through. So we are indoors at Legoland Windsor on the big queue line, which when we get to the very end of the tour at Billund, we'll be looking at the exact same models, but just on the outside. Now, Billund has a lot of eateries. They've got a lot of places to buy little bits and pieces, and they've got a lot of pay-to-plays. They've got a huge amount of water, and they've got a huge amount of models. So the ride and land, shall I say, is absolutely enormous. It's a very big theming for the one over in Billund. It is not so much, I would say, for Dubai, even though they do have quite a large area for it as such, because they've got more of the soft play areas, which we will be taking a look at in a second. Right, we're inside Dubai and Windsor currently, and like I said, with the one in Dubai, I couldn't go too much further than that, which is a little bit of a shame. So I don't actually know how big the queue was, because where I was standing is actually the exit. So this is all coming out the end of, and like I said, I couldn't get into the actual main part of the queue line, but you can see the differences in the models. So the one on the inside of Windsor, you can see you've got the big sat down ones, but they all completely different style. Same sort of theming, but they've just got different bits and pieces in. And obviously this one has a huge queue line with a massive TV on the inside. But like I said, if it is full, you could spend 2, maybe 3 hours queuing for a ride that is maybe 2 minutes. So if it is very busy, I would probably try and get to this one first maybe, because it gets very hot. It's very noisy on the inside, but it is what it is, isn't it? It's one of those. Windsor seems to always have much slower queue lines, I would say, to anything else. So like the other two parks we're going through really, really quickly. So big screen now is Billund, and you can see it. Sorry, big screen now is Dubai, and you can see the outskirts of that. It looks really, really fancy just with the calf. So that is one thing that they don't have in the other two parks. They don't have this big eatery area where you can just go in and obviously grab yourself a bite to eat with regards to just having this theming about, because they have the buffet area in the one in Windsor, but that is a pirate theme. I think it's right beside Heart Lake City, but it used to be a pirate theme, and I'm not too sure if they've just changed. It's like a neutral bit on the inside, but it does have a cool little bit of theming on the inside of that one. And you can see we are looking at the queue line to the one in Billund on the outside. So you can see there that is a big queue line. There's no top whatsoever. So this is the next huge difference. We've got big rides is the one big difference. What we are currently looking at now within this section of the park, it's themed to the adventure. And like I said, there is one in Billund for a pizza, and there is also one at Windsor as well for an all-you-can-eat buffet. But the theming for both of those are completely different as well. So as we carry on walking around Billund, we are got the laser ride directly behind us. This is another little bit of theming where we can then loop round and see some of the other little bits and pieces, like this jungle racer. Now, this jungle racer, they do have at both of the other theme parks as well, but again, they are themed differently. This is under the theming for obviously the adventure, so you can see how it's more of the sandy color. But I would imagine if you've seen any of the other videos from Billund or Dubai, they are basically there or thereabouts the same. You've got the thing where you just flick the steering wheel on the outside. You've got these buttons just here on the brown bit where you can push down, and then like a big water bomb that goes off, and it'll get them absolutely drenched as you let go of the steering wheel and it comes shooting out. So looking at Windsor quickly before we miss it, where we are just looking at there with all of the games and things, that is actually the way out you come from the laser shooter. And then you've got all of their big PlayStation section just there. It's slightly different to Billund where they have a big Nintendo section. And there was another ride there as well, which you'll have a better look at actually at the one in Dubai, because it's exactly the same theming, and it happens to be the exact same ride. Now, talking of Dubai, I am stuck in the queue line trying to get out of the actual restaurant. I couldn't figure out how to get out, so I ended up going all the way back through into the restaurant and back round again. Windsor, you can see you've got 3 different rides on the far back, which we will have a good look at once we get to the top, and then we'll spin it back round and come back down again, and we'll see them in a slightly better detail, but they are not available in any of the other parks. So you do not have them in Dubai, and you do not have them in Billund either. So even though they are exactly the same theming, where there are maybe 5 or 6 different rides within the same theme of all 3 of the parks. And obviously there's different places to eat, there's different pay to plays. So it is very, very interesting putting all of these together and just seeing how different it is and sort of how each park individually was designed as we're walking over the train track of the one over in Windsor as well. And we will be walking back over that in a second. So back to Billund, bottom right. Like I said, it will start where it left off, so they're still shooting around. We should pick that back up again when we start walking around the big open water section, so that'd be something really nice to see, as we are still escaping Dubai and its food. Where we are at currently actually is a really nice area for the little ones, because there is a soft play. Now, both of these pay-to-plays weren't open. I think these were shut because of COVID, and obviously you have to handle a lot of different bits and pieces. So when I went, the COVID regulations were still very, very heavy, and this was, I think I went in February of 2022. So they were still very, very strict, but you can see they've got some really nice models. And as we pan round, you'll see that there's actually a really nice area for the little ones to go in. And you saw then, it just keeps going back. So they don't have sort of this much younger section either at the one in Windsor or the one in Billund. And obviously, like I said, we will get back to that in a second as we loop round. And you can see we're actually walking around the water in Billund as we are just got to the very, very top at the one in Windsor. So this is the opposite entrance in. And like I said, we'll walk down over the bridge and we'll have a look at all the rides we missed, what would now be on my left-hand side. Now, I have been very, very lucky because where we're walking around now, I actually managed to do this in Billund at Halloween, and it was lit up at night. The fog effects and the spray effects of everything were absolutely fantastic. So if you didn't want to see any of these videos individually, they are all available in their own separate playlist. Obviously, I've got the Legoland Windsor, Billund, Dubai, and hopefully hopefully some others by the time you've watched this as well. So you should, fingers crossed, be spoiled for choice with just the different areas and different things that you can see. And there's obviously other theme parks much, much further afield as well. But this is, I would say, a really, really nice area just to grab yourself a bite to eat. And it's almost like a perfect picnic area. And it's just much, much calmer. And it's a good hub because it will kick you into 2 other sections of the park as well. Keep your eyes peeled on the bottom right, because obviously where we're looking at are the rides. We won't be able to see them again. So we just walked past one, and we've got a couple to have a look at now. And as we're doing this and having a look at this air balloon, that big thing there is actually part of the ride for the train. We are still walking around now the one in Dubai. And as we come through, we will then get to the play area. And again, I've said this, another big difference is you can see the covering. So we are outdoors, but they have these sort of sun protectors over the top. And these things here where you have the ride. So this is one of the rides. This thing, what we're looking at right now, was the one that we had in Windsor, but that was running. So in case you missed that one in Windsor, that was available. So they are exactly the same, like for like, with the exact same theming. But funny enough, they are completely different in Billund because they've got like a frog theme instead. So the Thunder Blazer is not available in this theme in the other 2 parks either. And you can just see the big section of the land. It's quite nice that they've got all these different park maps. It makes it nice and easy for everybody. They've got the big full park map, and then they've got it all sort of split into the individual sections as well. So we will be coming back to Windsor in a second, as hopefully we'll now go to a large screen for the soft play area, which we're at now, which none of the parks have. So what we were looking at just there and what we're looking at above our head is not available anywhere. So we don't have this anywhere else so far. It's perfect for shade and shelter. And obviously when it's raining or when it's really, really hot, it's just really nice to walk through. It makes a huge difference and keeps it all cool. But this bit here is another like little base camp, is what you saw. That was shut. It was completely padlocked up because, again, because of COVID regs, none of this was open. Hopefully it's all open again now. And if you've managed to use it and you've enjoyed it, obviously let us know in the comments below what you think. And obviously let us know as we're going around what you think. If you've been to any of these parks, what your local park is. And if obviously one of your local parks isn't being shown, but you have gone to Japan, Malaysia, any of the American parks, how does your park differ for this section that we're looking at currently? Because obviously there are big changes clearly depending on every single park. But you can see there, look, you've got the bounce ride, nice queue section, and you've got the little bit there, it goes up and down. So this ride is available in all of the parks, but just with slightly different theming. Now, a big thing here, just to the right hand side, that is something slightly different. That isn't actually part of the adventure bit, but where I'm stood is. So we are obviously Billund still, and you've got this really nice loop and walk through just underneath that bridge. Really nice photos, really nice models located up there as well. So you can really see some nice bits and pieces. And you've got the same matching air balloon of what we just had a look at there. And what we're about to do is have a look at the external queue line of Billund, but we'll get back to that in a second. So we're about to say goodbye to Dubai. So the Dubai is going to go big. We've already said goodbye to Windsor, so Windsor's disappeared because that was slightly shorter video. But what we are going to do, or if you were to do this park, what you do is you carry on walking where I am now. You keep going in a straight line. You then go to the imagination section, which is a very, very big part of the park. They've got some they've got some very different rides in there, and they've also got their Duplo bits and pieces within that section. It's not like its own private section like you got at the one in Windsor. And if you were to carry on looping around, then eventually you hit the Lego City theme, which I think for Dubai is very, very strong. And if you are a Speed Champions fan, they've got all of the different vehicles and things in there, and it looks really, really cool because they've got a nice big shop right beside where you get all your driving license. So obviously all of the little ones are going to want to buy all the bits and pieces, and I would imagine now they will be selling all of the exclusive Lego sets as well. So it's just a good place to get them from. But if you keep your eyes peeled in the bottom right hand corner, if you've got any of these sets in Lego, like the adventure sets, like that car, for example, or any of the tents or any of the figures and things like that, let us know in the comments below. I have, but I just don't have it all built up. But everything that we are looking at, including the fire and things, I have got. Yes, it does look very, very similar to Indiana Jones. This was their own take on it. The Indiana Jones sets have just come out now, but it'd be very interesting to see if they do release any of these sets again. So any of the Kingdom of the Pharaoh stuff, because I think the sets were really, really good, and they're still using and making the hotels with this theming as well. So I'm quite surprised that they haven't made any sets of this for years and years, but yet they are still, when they make a new hotel, they still add in this theming rather than just something slightly new or current. It wouldn't surprise me if maybe in a couple of years' time, when certain things starts to phase out, like if they ever stopped making Ninjago, for example, what is going to happen with regards to the Ninjago sections and Ninjago rides, all the bits and pieces in the hotel, because obviously they use that theming massively around all of the parks. But guys, I am slowly starting to run out of time. So if you can like this video and subscribe to the channel, that'd be absolutely fantastic. Comments below, let me know what your favorite Legoland park is or what yours is like. And is it worth me visiting there? Because I am going to try and tick all of them off. I've been to Germany and I've also been to Florida, but I haven't filmed it. And I'd love to go back to both of those at some point when I can. Because again, the theming in those parks are fantastic. The rides are completely different. And it's just good to walk around and just see all of the models and get ideas for your own Lego city and things like that. So it's one of those. If you let us know, and obviously, like I said, keep your eyes peeled for all of the future videos of this style of content to come. There is its own playlist where I've already done a couple of other videos, and this now does allow me to do the different theme parks over the years as well, with regards to how things have changed, how the theming's changed. So I could always do what used to be where Legoland Windsor was for the Mythica section, and then do a direct comparison between the two. So if you'd like to find out some more history of the Legoland parks, again, let me know. But we are very, very slowly, like I said, you've got about 30 seconds left. So we'll take a look at some of these last models. And then I think what we do is we then spin around, and like you have at every single of the other rides, you then have their scoring system as well. So depending on what color you hit, you then get different points on that. So obviously you want to try and aim for the biggest ones. So you can see all of these models just here that I think look brilliant. And obviously some really nice photo opportunities if you want to sort of crouch down and get your photo taken. And obviously these are under some cover, so they aren't going to fade. But guys, that is it. I am done. So as always, thank you very much for watching. You lot take care, and let's catch you in the next one. Ta-da.